I've been driving trucks for over 15 years now, coast to coast, border to border. You name a stretch of highway in the US, I've probably put wheels on it. Most of it is boring: asphalt, truck stops, caffeine, and podcasts. But sometimes, the road throws you something that never leaves you. This happened about 6 years ago, somewhere in the Midwest. I was hauling a refrigerated load out of Chicago, bound for Denver. Tight deadline, so I knew it was going to be one of those runs where sleep takes a backseat. It was late, pushing past midnight, when I hit a long, empty stretch of two-lane highway. No towns, no lights, just fields on both sides and a sky full of stars. I actually kind of liked it that way. Peaceful, until I saw her. A woman standing on the shoulder, waving her arms. Now, you don't see that often out there. Out on a deserted highway at that hour, you might see deer, maybe a broken-down pickup, but a lone woman? Something about it immediately felt wrong. Still, I slowed down. I'm not heartless. Truckers are often the only ones out there, and sometimes we're the difference between someone getting help and someone being left behind. She was mid-30s maybe, long dark hair, jeans and a jacket. No car in sight. She flagged me harder as I pulled onto the shoulder. I rolled down the passenger window. "You all right, ma'am?" She leaned in, breath fogging the glass. "Please. Can you give me a ride? Just down the road." Her voice had this edge to it, urgent, shaky. I hesitated. Company rules say no hitchhikers. But her eyes, there was something in them. Desperation. Fear. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the passenger door. She climbed in, clutching her jacket tight, and whispered, "Thank you." We drove in silence for a while. She kept glancing behind us, like she was afraid someone was following. Finally, I asked, "So, what happened? Your car break down?" She shook her head quickly. "No car. I just need to get away." That was the first time I felt real unease. I kept my eyes on the road, both hands gripping the wheel. Something about the way she said it, "I just need to get away," sat wrong with me. Not like she was running from a broken relationship or a fight. More like she was running for her life. "You live around here?" I asked, trying to keep it casual. She hesitated, then shook her head. "No, I was staying with someone." Her voice cracked on the last word. She didn't elaborate, and I didn't push. The truck's cab was thick with silence. The only sound was the engine's low hum and the occasional rattle from the trailer. She kept twisting in her seat, glancing out the rear window like something might appear on that empty strip of highway. Finally, I said, "Listen, if someone's after you, I can call the cops at the next truck stop." "No!" she snapped, too fast, too sharp. Then she softened. "No, please, just keep driving." I nodded slowly. I wasn't about to argue. We drove for maybe 20 minutes, the fields stretching endlessly on both sides. Then she suddenly said, "Right here. Stop here." I frowned. "There's nothing here." "Please," she whispered. "This is fine." Against my gut instinct, I slowed and eased onto the shoulder. She reached for the handle before I'd even stopped. "Wait," I said. "At least tell me your name." She paused, hand on the door, eyes staring straight ahead. "Mara," she said softly. "Thank you for stopping." And then she was gone, out into the night. I leaned over, watching her walk down the embankment into the dark field. No flashlight, no phone, nothing. Just swallowed by the night. I sat there a long moment, unsettled, before finally putting the truck back in gear. 10 miles down the road, I saw her again. Standing on the shoulder, waving her arms. My foot froze on the gas. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, even slapped my face once, but she was there. Same dark hair, same jacket, standing on the shoulder like she hadn't just walked off into a field 10 miles back. For a second, I thought maybe it was a trick of the headlights. Long drives will do that to you. But as I slowed, she stepped forward and waved her arms exactly like before. My stomach dropped. I rolled past without stopping this time, just kept my eyes locked on the asphalt. When I checked the mirror, she was still there, watching me go. The cab felt colder after that. I cranked the heat, but it didn't help. About an hour later, I pulled into a truck stop, one of those lonely 24-hour places with a flickering sign and 2 pumps. I killed the engine, grabbed a coffee inside, tried to shake it off. Told myself I was exhausted, maybe hallucinating. Long hauls mess with your head. But when I walked back out, cup in hand, I saw her again. She was standing beside my rig, not moving, not smiling. Just standing there with her hand resting on the passenger door handle, like she'd been waiting for me. I stopped dead in the parking lot, heart slamming against my ribs. "Mara," I said, my voice cracking. Her head tilted slowly, unnaturally, like a question she didn't bother asking out loud. And then she was gone. I don't mean she walked away. I mean, in the second it took me to blink, the lot was empty. No footsteps, no shadow, nothing. I climbed back into my cab, locked the doors, and drove out of there like hell itself was behind me. But the truth is, I don't think I ever really left her behind. The highway stretched on, endless and empty. My hands were glued to the wheel, eyes fixed on the yellow lines flicking by. I kept telling myself it was fatigue, maybe even a microsleep. Truckers see things all the time when they're running on fumes. But deep down, I knew better. Because when you hallucinate, it doesn't leave footprints. Around 4 a.m., I pulled off onto a rest area. Just a slab of asphalt with a couple picnic tables and an overflowing trash can. No other vehicles in sight. I parked, killed the engine, and tried to calm down. The cab felt too tight, the silence too heavy. I stepped outside, stretching my legs, letting the cold air slap me awake. That's when I saw them. Footprints, small ones, barefoot, leading from the grass right up to my rig, circling the passenger side door, then trailing back into the field. The dirt was wet enough that they were fresh, no more than minutes old. My blood ran cold. I scanned the field with my flashlight, heart hammering. Nothing. Just knee-high weeds swaying in the breeze. I backed toward the cab, every nerve in my body screaming to get inside. I climbed in, slammed the lock, and sat there gripping the wheel like it was a lifeline. That's when I heard it, a soft knock. On the passenger door. Not frantic, not loud. Just 3 gentle taps. I froze, staring at the dark window. My breath fogged the glass inside the cab. Slowly, the handle twitched. Not once, not twice, but steady, like someone was testing the lock. I whispered, "No, no, no." The knocking stopped. The handle went still. Silence again. But when I looked in the side mirror, angled just right to catch the shoulder of the truck, I saw her, standing barefoot in the dirt, watching. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there with the engine idling, staring straight ahead, hands gripping the wheel until my knuckles turned white. Every time I glanced at the mirror, she was still there. Not moving, not walking closer, just standing, watching. When the first light of dawn hit the horizon, I finally pulled out. The tires crunched gravel, and the figure vanished into the rising sun as if she had never been there. By the time I reached the Colorado line, I had almost convinced myself it was over. Maybe it had been a dream after all, something my brain stitched together from exhaustion and bad coffee. But then, at the way station outside Denver, I parked in line with half a dozen other rigs. I stepped out to stretch and chat with the guy behind me. And there she was, across the lot, leaning against a lamppost, barefoot, hair hanging in her face. I froze mid-sentence. The other driver frowned. "You good, man?" When I looked back, the post was empty. That was the moment I realized she wasn't tied to the road, or to some accident scene, or even to the truck. She was tied to me. I delivered the load, signed the papers, pretended everything was fine. But that night, in a cheap motel off I-70, I woke up at exactly 3:13 a.m., to the sound of knocking. Not on the door, on the window. 3 soft taps. I pulled back the curtain with shaking hands and saw nothing but the empty parking lot, lit by a flickering sodium lamp. But in the glass, in the reflection of my own face, stood Mara right behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly fell. The room was empty. Just a cheap bedspread, a humming mini-fridge, and the stale smell of cigarettes in the carpet. No one there. But the reflection had been clear. Too clear. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. At sunrise I was back on the road, dead tired, eyes bloodshot, hands shaking on the wheel. Every shadow on the shoulder looked like her. Every roadside sign seemed to flicker with movement. By the time I hit Utah, I was losing it. I pulled into a diner, one of those old chrome ones with endless coffee and stale pie. I sat at the counter, staring at my cup, trying to convince myself I was safe in the daylight. Then the waitress asked, "You want a refill, hun?" I looked up. She had the same face, same hair, same tired eyes, same woman. I nearly dropped the mug. She frowned, confused, like I was the crazy one. I bolted from that diner, heart pounding, and didn't stop driving until I reached the coast. That was 6 years ago. Since then, I've hauled hundreds of loads across thousands of miles. But some nights, when the highway is empty and the stars are too bright, I still see her. Sometimes in the mirror, sometimes on the shoulder, always watching, always waiting. And every time I pull over at night, I find myself whispering, "Please, not tonight." But she always comes back, because out there on the road, you don't just carry freight. Sometimes, you carry the dead. Thanks for listening. That's how this story ended, with miles of road, sleepless nights, and a passenger I can never shake. Have you ever picked someone up, or felt someone with you, when no one should have been there? Share your story in the comments. Someone else needs to hear it. And if this one gave you chills, don't forget to like and subscribe. More real stories, raw, haunting, and unforgettable, are coming soon.